Sunrik, thanks very much. Good evening and thanks for your company this evening. Well, as we all know, WA is blessed with beautiful weather, but when it turns bad, it can be deadly for aviation. Tonight, special guest reporter and aviation expert Jeffrey Thomas tells us the pilots in this air emergency needed skill, experience and a staggering amount of luck.
Where's the runway?
Flying blind. Out of fuel.
We know how close we were to death.
It could happen again. Mayday.
Engine failure. Out of options.
What's happening?
2 Western Australian flights at the mercy of fickle weather.
It was almost like the perfect storm.
Every pilot's nightmare is when Mother Nature decides to flex her muscles. And when she does, it can get pretty dicey. WA State Rugby League team is among the 57 passengers on board late-night Flight 1792 on their way to Darwin to play against the Northern Territory side.
Is he coming or what? Bullfair's late again.
But they're a man down. The plane is ordered to remain grounded until that passenger is found. 10 minutes late getting into the air. Lost time that will prove critical in the drama that's about to unfold in little under 4 hours. Between Perth and Darwin, the F-28 will make 2 scheduled stops in Port Hedland and Derby.
Broome's completely closed in, has been all night. Derby's forecast is still cab okay.
Arriving in Port Hedland, the pilots receive worrying news that fog is blanketing much of the northwest.
What's the actual weather at Derby?
Exactly as forecast, according to the man on the spot. Reported visibility 7 kilometres.
But Derby is in the clear for now. Pilots like to carry additional fuel, just in case the unexpected happens. But with Derby forecast for a clear night, there is no reason to carry more than the additional 700 kilos or 30 minutes flying time.
Fog is a problem and it always will be a problem.
Aviation investigator Alan Stray.
When you fly to a destination that's not forecast to have fog, you're not expecting to have to carry fuel to an alternate aerodrome.
At 2:56 a.m, the pilots radio Derby.
Commencing descent into Derby. Request traffic.
For your information, fog appears to be forming. I'm going to check it now.
This is the news the pilots have been dreading.
Where's the runway?
I did a quick scan of the instruments and when I looked back, it was gone.
Their timing could not be worse. Fog has blown over the runway just several minutes before.
Unforecast fog is a problem that none of us can control.
Had the player not got lost, if only the plane had left on time, the pilots would have no problems spotting a runway. The landing is aborted, and so are 2 more attempts.
Make it a stress call at once.
It was really the longest hour of my life.
Jenny Baguley is accompanied by her husband John on the trip, along with their baby and John's parents.
Being a new mother, I became a bit fearful because I couldn't understand why we were sort of attempting to land and then zooming up.
The pilots are running out of options and fuel. There's just enough to keep them in the air for 1 more hour.
There would have been a considerable unease in the both pilots' minds.
They could try an emergency landing on the Derby marshes.
To glide at night into unknown territory is very, very dangerous.
If we can get lights at Fitzroy Crossing, could you land the plane there?
Affirmative.
We'll try to organise some lights now.
Fitzroy Crossing is a remote Kimberley community 250 k's away. To make it here, the pilots will need every last drop of fuel. But the runway is gravel with no landing lights, never designed for jets like the F-28. This means that locals will have to think very quickly to get this plane on the ground safely.
The pilot said, we're going to land at Fitzroy Crossing. And that's not a problem, it's a gravel strip.
John knew something was terribly wrong.
And I said to my wife, something not right here.
Jets can't land on the gravel runway.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's when some doubts came into my mind that, hey, we're in a bit of trouble here.
What advice did you get from Fitzroy?
Foxtrot Kilo Charlie, this is Derby. Fitzroy will use car headlights to light the runway.
But the pilots can't see the lights until it's too late. They are on the wrong end of the runway.
Going around.
Don't have the fuel, Harold.
I was just clinging on to my baby and wondering what on earth was going to happen.
The fuel gauge is on empty. They could run out of fuel at any moment.
Flap 25, gear up.
Flap
speed
25,
brake in.
gear up, speed brake in.
Then, of course, we touched the runway. And the sound of the gravel on the undercarriage was enormous.
Plane stopped, we'd run out of fuel.
For once, time is on their side. They run out of fuel just several hundred metres after landing.
Advise Derby of our arrival, Alex.
Foxtrot, Kilo Charlie. Cancel search and rescue watch.
They were only seconds away from a tragedy, given the low fuel state.
What happens next defies belief. Still legendary in aviation circles.
1, 2, 3,
The state rugby team pushing the plane to the fuel bowser.
My father's friend phoned Perth and told them that we'd crash landed and the rugby team had to push the plane off the edge of the runway.
But we reveal for the first time the twist in this extraordinary tale.
It was a joke, yes. It didn't actually happen. We got to read this when we finally got to Darwin. It was printed in the local press there, and we had a real big belly laugh about it, and nobody denied it.
There is also no denying that only quick thinking and sheer luck stopped this becoming Australia's worst air disaster.
Having read the transcripts in the newspaper since, we know how close we were to death.
Thankfully, a lot has changed in the 40 years since then. Improved technology means more accurate weather forecasting and has enabled far better communications between pilots and airport control rooms.
It could happen again, but procedures have improved over the years. We can never say never.